Hello, welcome back to the NBA DFS Slate Breakdown for November 15th, Wednesday. We got an 8-gamer. We'll be going over some interesting ownership situations and some pivots. But before we do, come join us at LionStar. Look, we got 4 affiliate offers right down there, right below me here. You can go on our website, click any of them, brings you to our affiliate. Just sign up. If you're a new customer, you get 1 month free of LionStar. You do have to deposit and play in some situations, but you get free money too, up to $100 deposit match with all of them. All right, now let's get into it. Interesting slate we got here. All right, so 8-gamer. There is some big-time injury situations to go over. Let me flip to the starting lineup page so we can go over it. Kyrie is questionable. For Boston, Jaylen Brown and Porzingis are questionable. Obviously, if one of them is out, it opens up some more spots where we could probably find a play or two. But the big one, Giannis is out. Lillard looks great, but it really opens up value across this whole team. Same situation we've seen for a little while in Toronto, but Anunoby and Gary Trent are both doubtful. So I took that as them being out for this purposes. Fultz once again is out. And DeMar DeRozan is out. So Chicago has some nice value there. And we will get into all of that. And then also Darius Garland out. Trailblazers is the same mess we've seen the last couple days. So that's how it breaks down. Now let's get into the slate itself here. So I've liked some players here. We'll go over the high owned and we'll go over some of the guys I like. Most of the time, I won't like a high owned player unless I'm getting, way more than our ownership projection is showing. So point guard, Donovan Mitchell, highest owned guy on the slate. He looks fine. I like him. I'm just not getting to a ton of him. Will have some, absolutely. Without Darius Garland, he is the guy, and he gets a ton of usage. He's in a good matchup versus Portland, so I totally understand why everybody is going there, and it makes total sense. Damian Lillard, right underneath him, 8,100 though, so way cheaper. Similarly owned. I do think Lillard will end up being higher owned than Mitchell. Just right now, it isn't looking that way. But I'm going to have a lot of Lillard. Giannis is out. That usage has to flow, other places. And I think Lillard is going to get a lot of it. So I'm all in on Lillard. Tyus Jones is fine. Do not mind it. It is the highest game total of the slate. I will get to a little bit, just not anything, crazy. Also getting to a little Melton. Now, starting in the lower owned guys that I'm getting to, Jordan Poole. Washington as a whole has a lot of guys tonight that I am interested in. Jordan Poole is one of them. He maybe is finally starting to play all right. He got it done for us last night. Barely. Kind of hit value there. I like the play. I don't love it. Jalen Brunson. This game versus Atlanta, I think, is a very interesting one for the Knicks guys. I like Brunson. I also like Randall, but I think they're in a very good spot. And it's a nice pivot because Brunson can easily go 50 plus as Damian Lillard or Donovan Mitchell could tonight. So I think it's a really interesting pivot to go that way, as well as Kyrie Irving. Now, Kyrie is on the injury report. He is questionable, so we need to watch for that. And if Kyrie's out, Luka is in an amazing spot. De'Aaron Fox I didn't like, but I do like him. And just wasn't getting to a crazy amount of him, so I didn't want to like him at his salary, but he is interesting to me. Cole Anthony, talked about him yesterday. Look, Fultz is out. He's in the same exact spot. He is a guy that can produce from a fantasy per minute standpoint, and that's why I'm here. He did run into 28 minutes yesterday, so he ran into the minutes we wanted. He just wasn't hitting. 2 of 10 from the field. So he was shooting 20%. Just didn't really get it done for us with his production. Wasn't shooting well. But I am going to go back probably. I won't have a ton of him because, as I said yesterday, it is a risky play. He is a backup. We don't truly know how many minutes he's going to get. But when he's on, he's, a Malik Monk type guy where he can put up points in bunches and come off the bench and give you a big night. And hopefully we can get one of those tonight with me liking him. Skylar Mays, look, he once again got it done for us last night. Didn't really crush. Was just okay, but he's in a similar spot. He's getting a ton of minutes. Brogdon's out again. And I like him. I don't love him. It is a much more difficult matchup for him. But look, when he's producing at over a fantasy point per minute and he's playing the minutes that he is, I gotta consider him. And he's a heavy consider once again tonight. Then Dennis Schroeder. Toronto has a couple of interesting pieces. Schroeder is one of them. I do think in this early part of the season, he has maybe overproduced who he is, but he is still, 0.99, 0.95 kind of per minute fantasy player. And so he is interesting in a game where Giannis is out. We got a close game, a higher scoring total. Not that high, but, decently high, and he's going to play a lot of minutes. So I like the play when nobody's going there, and it's going to get you different just because he is a little bit cheaper at point guard, where mostly people are paying up at point guard. So I think there's some path to success. Another one I like, but not going to go overboard with it. I'm going to have a ton of Damian Lillard. All right. Before we go to shooting guard, we should probably go to good old DraftKings here. Now, Mitchell, White, and Fox are the highest owned on DK. De'Aaron Fox's salary is way cheaper on DraftKings, and I liked him with 1,000 more at FanDuel. So when he's that cheap on DK, you got to consider him. Lillard, a lot more expensive on DraftKings, but at 9K, I am still there. Still probably have a decent amount of him, especially if he's not that high owned. I would have more than Lillard than I would Mitchell. Kobe White, I get it. With DeRozan out, his usage should go up a little bit, but I just don't love it. Probably not going to get there too much. I would rather go to Jaylen Brown. And some of the other guys that we have already talked about. Getting over to shooting guard. All right, so we got Donovan Mitchell, Karis LeVert, Zach LaVine. Those are the 3 highest, and they should be. I think LaVine's in a very, very good spot. LeVert is likely to start, likely to play some extra minutes. Even if he doesn't start, well, I guess he's only really started once, but coming off the bench, he's still playing, 30, 32 minutes without Garland. He should get that again. But look, Donovan Mitchell is still there, and at this high ownership, I don't like it quite as much. Of Mitchell and LeVert, I am getting off more of LeVert than I am Mitchell. I would rather have LaVine than I would LeVert. There's a lot of different ways that we can go here to get off of LeVert. I think he's a fine play. Understand why he's going so high owned. Just, I'm not in love with it. Now, if we go back over to good old FanDuel, Very similar. Melton is up there as well. Now, the guys that I have liked, we talked about Poole, Levine. We did talk about Kyrie Irving. We've talked about a little bit. But here's one we have not. Malik Beasley. Look, there's no Giannis. He's only 4,300. He's already, outside of the last two games, he's been playing 28, 30 minutes at some times. Without Giannis, he very easily could get back up into that 28-minute category. And with more usage to go around, I think he's interesting. And I absolutely think he could get up to this, say, 28 or even maybe 30-point range, which we will need him. So I think Beasley is very interesting at the low price. Cole Anthony, talked about him. Skylar Mays, we talked about him. It is a little bit annoying how so many guys have dual position eligibility here. All right. So moving over to small forward, we got Levert, we got Kuzma, we got Denny Avdia. Now, I like Denny a lot. I like Kuzma. I do prefer Denny over Kuzma in this game. I think how this matchup sets up, there's a real chance that Denny runs into some extra minutes just because they are going to probably need him on defense to do whatever he can to slow down that guy Luka. I think he is the most likely one to kind of step up and try to slow him down. If so, he could get us some extra minutes, which is interesting to me. Kuzma started playing pretty well lately. We have the highest scoring game of the day. It is an absolute consideration. LeBron, I'm not getting to any of. Really not getting to many or any of the Lakers at all. The one thing is LeBron is questionable. If he is out, then I'm going to start getting to some Anthony Davis, probably D'Angelo Russell, and maybe some Austin Reeves. Tamani Kamara, he started last night, played 26 minutes, and I'm interested in going back there while he is this cheap. He could start again tonight. It's the same situation where this Trailblazers team is just beat up and they don't have a ton of minutes to go around. So it could be, once again, he's getting, 28 minutes, 3,900, and he's at least interesting. Now, the one play that I'm probably getting to the most so far is Scotty Barnes. When I say the most, I mean ownership dependent. So I have way more of him compared to his ownership than anybody else. It's the biggest differential for me. I'm getting to a lot of Scotty Barnes. I think he is the obvious pivot off of Donovan Mitchell. And I like him a lot in this spot. It is a decent matchup. It's a game that they should be in close in. On the other side, ownership is going to be super high, which is going to keep some ownership off of Barnes. And I think he's in a great spot. And he's just been producing so far this season. 1.35 fantasy points per minute is what he's been doing this year. And I think he's going to keep doing it with how they're using him and how much he has the ball in his hands. So I really do like him. Tobias Harris, he goes under the radar. I used him last night. Probably going to go back to him again. He has a ceiling when he's really hitting, but he is consistent, and I'm going to have a little bit in a matchup which is likely going to be pretty hotly contested between him and Boston. I don't love the matchup, but I will absolutely be getting to some of them. All right, now let's flip over to DK. And highest owned guys there. Boo Comp, I'm not really getting to. I am getting to more Kamara than I am Boo Comp. He's there. I get it. I don't know what his minutes are going to be, and I'm getting to way more Bobby Portis than I am going to Boo Comp. I think Portis is the one that's going to walk into more minutes than anybody else and more usage. So I'm going there a little bit more, or even Pat Connaughton over Bucon. And we've talked about everybody else. So power forward it is. Bobby Portis, highest owned, Evan Mobley, and Kamara. Look, I like them all. I also like Julius Randle that's there. Bobby Portis is a guy I'm going to get to a lot of. Pretty much it breaks down that I am getting to a ton of Milwaukee, Washington, and Toronto. Those are probably, and yeah, Milwaukee, Toronto, and Washington. Those are the teams that I am getting the most of, and I'm trying to get a little different with my lineups using a lot of those pieces, and then, you know, a couple ancillary pieces here and there. So, gonna definitely have him. Evan Mobley, I'm not getting to a ton of, but I don't mind him. He's just a piece that I'm going to be throwing in here and there. I don't think he gets that big of a bump up with Garland out. And if Jarrett Allen was out and Mobley was moving to center, then I would probably be getting to a lot of them. But as he is in the power forward with Jarrett Allen there, I just don't like his possibilities for the ceiling game. He really does need Allen out. And get over to FanDuel, and we'll go over the guys that I have liked here. Julius Randle. It's just like Jalen Brunson. I think he's just in a very good spot. They're going to need to score. Both of their price points are a little bit low right now. And Randle, you know, he started out the season not really being able to score. He's turned it around. 16, 27, 23, 23, 25 points. He's starting to shoot better. He's still giving the rebounds, the assist, playing a ton, you know, playing 38 minutes, 31, 39, and in a very good high-scoring matchup. I like the spot for Randle quite a bit tonight. Scotty Barnes, we talked about. Tobias, Domantas Sabonis. Look, big man versus the Lakers. Sabonis is a stud. He's in a very good spot. I like him versus the Lakers. He's done decently versus them in the past. It's a very high-scoring game. And it looks like it is a closely contested, 1-point difference. We do need to watch the injury situations here. If LeBron is out, maybe Sacramento rolls him. But all in all, I think he is an interesting spot. And it's a day that I'm not really paying up for too many guys. I'm going a ton of mid-range once again. I think that's interesting. I think that a lot of the real cheap kind of value pieces are just kind of meh today. So there's no real need to get there. Gonna have a ton of Portis, as I've talked about. Denny, Kuzma, Mobley, high-owned pieces there. And didn't talked about everybody there. Moving over to center. Mobley, Portis, Allen, highest owned. Getting to a ton of Portis. Hates me to say it, but I'm getting to a little bit of Goga. He is a decent fantasy producer when he's on the court. The Bulls have Vucevic, which may make it so they need to play a little bit more Goga. If he runs into, say, 26 minutes instead of his 22 to 24, then I think he's in an interesting spot and could produce. He's only 4.6K. I think that mid-20s is very likely for him, and there is the chance, if he's playing well, that he gets more minutes and is able to get into the 30s. And at that price, I'm going to have a little bit. Hurts me to say. Mitchell Robinson, definitely going to get some of him too. Versus Atlanta is a decent spot. My thing with him is his minutes are just all over the place. He does have a real high ceiling when he gets the minutes and he's playing well. But he also has a pretty low floor. At 5,900, he could easily only give you 20 points if he's not producing. Now, with that being said, I like him. Not going to go overboard. But he is absolutely in my player pool. Nikola Vucevic, I'm going to have a lot of Vuce. I think he's in a good spot versus Orlando. Orlando's a good rebounding team, but I think Vuce is going to be able to, get it done. And without DeRozan there, he's going to be used more and his minutes are more secure because they're going to need him out there to score. So I don't expect one of these 30-minute games. I expect more of these 34, 36-minute games, which has given him that big ceiling. And at 8.2K, he is super interesting. He's a big reason why I'm going kind of more mid-range pricing today. Sabonis we have talked about as well. And flip over to DK. Look at the center position and pretty similar. Vooch is even cheaper. I'm going to have a lot of him. It isn't the most enticing game, being that it's a 215 total, but without DeRozan and the way Chicago plays, I think the starters just get a couple more minutes than they usually do. So I'm extremely interested by Vooch and Levine because of that. I think they get extra minutes. Another guy I didn't talk to that I'm absolutely getting to is Cat. Guy has been great lately and his price is just way too cheap on both DraftKings and FanDuel. Look, he's getting the minutes. He's been right around 50 and at 7.9K. That's a real nice spot. I mean, against the Suns, I would say his floor is probably high 30s, low 40s in this range right here with a ceiling of 55, 60. I think it's a spot that I got to go back to. So I'm definitely going to be probably forcing a little bit more of him than what I would absolutely just get on its own. Real quick, go over some matchup spots here. Jared Allen getting a lot of ownership here. I just don't love it. Reason being, he's not playing that good, and his minutes just hasn't really been there. Kind of why that I'm fading him a little bit. Barnes. Best matchup we have on our matchup tool. He's low owned. I'm getting a lot of him. Getting a lot of Denny as well. Mays is showing up too. As far as the Boston situation, watch the news. Drew Holiday right now is the only Boston player I'm really getting to. But if Jaylen Brown or Porzingis is out, I'm sure to get to a little bit more Boston. I think they're in an interesting spot. Halliburton just went nuts on Philly. Now Drew isn't the fantasy producer that Halliburton is, but I do think he can get it done. That'll do it for us today. Quick one, ran through it all. Hope you guys have a good night, good luck, and let me know if you have some questions. Adios.